Hey guys, just wanted to quickly come in and share with you how we were able to make over $30,000 in the placement of a DevOps software engineer with one of our best and favorite clients. We'll keep this short, but it's a great story and great takeaways nevertheless. So we were approached with our client whom we did many deals with in the past, and they were looking for their first infrastructure or pure DevOps engineer. In terms of the must-haves, they needed someone coming out of a really recognizable startup, ideally kind of a tech company in the New York area, someone that obviously was familiar with AWS, Docker, Kubernetes on the DevOps side, without getting too technical for this video, and most importantly, someone who was good enough coding. And when I heard about this, that kind of raised a little bit questions, because typically if you are aware or understand the infrastructure DevOps side, most DevOps engineers and coders would have some sort of a coding background, but they're not actual software engineers. They're not doing the production coding day to day. And most of the coding that they do is typically for maybe scripting, debugging, just lighter stuff in general. So we picked up that role and we basically started a search. Once we found about 3 or 4 people, we then send them over to our client. The majority of them actually were selected to do first rounds. Majority of them actually went through the first round. The second stage that they had to do was a technical round, which happened to be a code pair. I was a little bit kind of, again, had questions about this because usually software engineers or hands-on coders usually have to do some sort of code pair or software engineering technical assessment. But then I was reassured that this is lighter and easier. It's not like a typical code pair that they would interview software engineers for. So, that basically comforted me at that time. I prepped my candidates and they went to go. Now, what happened here was really interesting. So I think at this point, within the first couple of weeks, we had 3 technical pairs scheduled, right? So the first one happened, that person got rejected because their coding skills weren't strong enough. I'm like, interesting. I thought they were strong enough, but okay. And then the second one happened, also got rejected because the coding wasn't strong enough. Now I'm getting more and more data is kind of creating more questions in my mind. I'm like, are we going after the right profile? Let's just see how the third one plays out. So the third one came and went. I just hoped that it went really well. Same result, got rejected 3 in a row. At this point, from my experience, I'm like, you know what? I need to go back to the board, talk to the head of recruiting and just have another chat. So I texted her, I'm like, hey, can we hop on another call? I'm like, what's going on? I need to understand what's happening with these code pairs. Why are all of our DevOps candidates getting rejected? Because you told me that they just needed scripting, light coding experience. All of them actually had that and more. She also was surprised as well. So then she's like, you know what, Preston, I hear you. I totally agree. I'm going to go back to the drawing board, go back to the hiring manager and try to understand like what he's thinking about. If we have to change the criteria, we'll let you know. What happened after this is she let me know that the hiring manager is actually sick. He ended up also traveling. So getting feedback from him was going to take a lot longer than expected. So at this point, I was really at a crossroads on what I could do. I could keep going forward and source and outreach with our original criteria, which clearly isn't working, or I can make a decision before I actually get an official confirmation from my client that we can tweak our criteria ourselves in hopes that like this new criteria will be more aligned and more accurate to what they'd be looking for. Hey guys, apologies for the interruption, but want to make an exciting announcement, so listen carefully. If you've been wanting to work and partner directly with me, we are creating for the first time a private community to let you do just that. In this group, you'll be able to access the open roles of my team and of others in the group, so you won't have to worry about not having enough open roles to work on and stabilize your business. Not just that, you'll also have access to accountability calls, trainings, private Discord channels, early access to new exciting stuff, and much, much more. This is perfect for all types of recruiters: solo recruiters, part-time recruiters, agency owners, full desk. If you are very specialized in one market or niche, or you work outside of the US, don't worry, we got your back. I believe that if you have strong recruiting fundamentals, you can also find tremendous success here as well. Candidates will have more job opportunities. Clients will have a stronger pipeline of greater talent, and recruiters will be able to make more consistent placements. It's a no-brainer. So if you're interested, please click on the link below. There will only be a limited number of spots open at a given time, so make sure you act quick. Excited to work with you directly and see you on the other side. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I got a DevOps role. They want some light coding, but they're all failing the coding. So maybe coding is actually a lot more important than I actually thought. So what me and my team have decided to do is we actually switched gears before waiting for the hiring manager to come back. I'm now targeting software engineers, right? Who can actually code, who code currently right now, who have previous DevOps infrastructure background. So they still have that knowledge and experience in that facet as well. And so we started another search, working really, really hard, still, targeting all the other must-haves that our client wanted. Good responses. We were able to submit, I think, 3 or 4 of them. All of them, again, got selected for the first round, which was a cultural one. They all did really, really well. And then they all came and got scheduled for the second round. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Second time around. What's going to happen? The first candidate that went through the second round, we heard that he actually did it really well, and they're moving forward to the next round. And I'm like, oh my God, we solved the puzzle of the universe. We have a candidate for the first time going to the third round. Not to mention, this one candidate they loved in the first round, he loved in the second round, and now he's moving to an on-site. The other 2 candidates also now ended up doing really, really well on the code pair, and they're all moving forward to the on-site round. So the first round, we had 3 candidates who got rejected on the second round. The second time around, we have 3 candidates who got accepted and they passed the code pair, and now they're moving to the third round, which is 2 very different situations. The first candidate got scheduled for his on-site first. The second candidates were slower because they were sick, they were traveling, we're kind of nearing December. It took a little bit of difficulty to get them scheduled, but also what happened after the second round with my first candidate here is that he was becoming almost a favorite contender for my client. So they wanted to kind of see how he did first before moving anyone else through the process. Lo and behold, the third round got scheduled. The candidate went on site, he absolutely crushed it, fell in love with the team, fell in love with the client, and here we are to the offer. Now, the offer negotiations were a little bit interesting. When I spoke with my candidate, he initially wanted about $150,000 minimum, right, with the salary, and I knew from the client that they're willing to pay about $160 to maybe $165 on salary, plus maybe options, etc., etc. So I knew that everything was aligned. When the offer came, which was fantastic, the offer came out at a base of $160 plus a $5K sign-on bonus plus options. So in cash, he got about $165. He was looking for $150. When I spoke with him, he was like, I was so excited. He loves the team. He's like, I'm most likely gonna accept. But he's like, Preston, I'm kind of curious. Do you think it makes sense for me to negotiate and go for more? And you know what? I'm like, yeah, go for it. If you want to shoot for the moon, go for it. I don't know how much more my client can go up, but I know that you have leverage because they made an offer. It shows strong intent that they want to hire you. So go for it. As long as you can back it up with like research that, now all in with your current job, you're making about 160, 165, and you can get a little bit more, you would feel really, really happy because you're going the right direction, and convey to the client that if they're able to make a little bit more wiggle room, it would help you make the decision sooner, right? So you need to present his ask back with data, but you also need to present it in a way to the client that they understand that they're not going to be offensive and they're going to be able to understand and empathize where he's coming from, and hopefully it matches their internal salary bands. He was able to schedule another call with the hiring manager, and unfortunately they thought that, for his experience, what they offered him was accurate, and they stood firm on that. So that was a little bit of a cause for concern for me. I'm like, I really hope this is not a deal breaker. So us recruiters, we have to always do our best to manage and control the things that we can. Now that I knew that the comp, the finances are firm and there's no chance on tweaking it, I now just really have to get and continue my can to be excited about the things that he's excited about in this role, which is the team, the culture, the stability, the environment, the flexibility of work schedule, and just keep him focused on that, which are a lot of the reasons why he really likes this job and it really resonated with him. I just have to say that we were able to do that good enough where by the time he wanted to schedule one more call with the hiring manager today, a Friday, mid-December, he had just had a couple more questions about the benefits and logistics of the flexible schedule, but he was in a really, really good place to verbally accept on the spot and of course eventually sign the official offer letter. So I think the biggest takeaways that you can take here is, number one, sometimes you have to make a decision mid-search to change up the criteria of your search even though you haven't gotten official confirmation from your client. This is why it's also important to be specialized in a market, because sometimes, a lot of times as recruiters, we'll know better what the client wants than what they actually believe. Initially, we followed their criteria, but then after seeing the data, I'm like, you know what? I think it makes more sense to target engineers with DevOps background than DevOps with software engineering background, and it played in our favor. And so if we waited another week, we could have increased the chance of them hiring someone internally through other channels and increase the chance of us losing this entirely. The second thing is using the whole interview process, taking that really seriously in terms of our interactions with the candidates to make sure that we can use every opportunity to address the concerns and answer all addressable questions that we can, so that when we do get to the final, they're distraction free and they can focus really on the big stuff. Another sub point to that is just focus on things that we can control. Once we realize that we can no longer control control the finances or impact it, then we naturally just focus on the intangibles, all the other reasons why the candidate loved the job. And hey, it did the job and it worked. The candidate is pumped. The candidate has no regrets because they asked for something, they didn't get it, unfortunately, but because they asked for it, they can now proceed saying, hey, I know that I've tried it, no regrets, and now I'm happy with all the other reasons why I love this job and I'm in a good headspace now and I have a good mindset to accept. So this took a lot of tact, a lot of experience that I was able to leverage from just my time as a recruiter to be able to read and make the appropriate decisions at the appropriate time to be able to execute a really hard to fill technical role that the company was really hoping to fill before the holidays. So we're about almost 1 week out before the holidays. Happy to say to close this, candidate is starting next month, but congratulations to the candidate, congratulations to the client, congratulations to the team. We made it happen once again. It's the whole reason why we are a trusted partner to many companies out there as we get the job done. We are not slowing down in December. We are not slowing down before the holidays. We're gonna make it happen for our candidates, clients, and teams. So hope you enjoyed this video and we'll see you on the next one.